Good evening and welcome. Welcome to Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and I'm glad you joined me tonight. I'm broadcasting live out of my home on the west coast of California, a place called Surf City, USA, 3 blocks from the ocean. And I'm glad that you found me. You found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS with Bob Pace. It led you to this room. This is a YouTube room that I'm using right now. It's called the CPS Defense Attorney Vincent Davis. Now, Vince W. Davis is my attorney, and this live stream was created by him about 18 months ago. Now, I've been doing this steadily. I'm on here twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 times a week. I've been doing this for 18 months. I've talked to over 1,500 people, 22 countries, 50 states. And they all have something in common. They've encountered a rogue CPS, a bad child protection system is what I call them. It's a government entity that was mandated by Congress in 1962 to social service to create a group of social workers that could watch and protect our children from neglect and abuse. Now, protecting children from abuse and neglect has been going on for quite some time. Now, CPS has identified 3 periods. The first period is from 1600 in colonial days to 1875. And then in 1875, with the Native American Indians being placed on reservations and no longer able to roam free and practice their ways. That was quite a hard transition period. Indian children would be rounded up and put into private schools. Their hair cut, their clothing was no more their own choice. They had to wear school uniforms. And their customs and the food they ate and stuff, it all changed. They were separated from their mom and dads. A lot of them never saw their mom and dads after they got out of school. Then from 1875 to 1962 was the second transition. And children being protected by societies, rich societies that would help take care and watch out for the children. We had trouble with sweatshops and child labor, and again, child abuse and neglect. Then in 1962 to the present is the third chapter of CPS, and that's where we're at now. The laws for CPS were passed in 1974. Then in 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act was passed, which prevented the kidnap of Indian children by the child protection system. What was happening was Indian children were rounded up and were never returned to their parents. So it said to the child protection system that you need to find out if the children are Indian, Native American Indians, and if they are they registered or could be registered, and that those Indian children would be turned over to the tribal reservations for family reunification. It was a big change. They wanted the Indian tribes to take care of their own. And so they would in turn put the kids into Indian families for the purpose of reunifying with their tribal parents. And the Indian Child Welfare Act mandated that the CPS would do so. Then in 1994, we had President Clinton sign a law, the incentive, meaning that CPS agencies were awarded $15,000 to $20,000 for having children adopted into foster care. At that time, President Bill Clinton thought it was too long to do family reunification. So they wanted to have them adopted quick, and so they forced a lot of the children into foster care. And that is sad. And now we're today where most of you have experienced the CPS systems in a negative way. They're supposed to provide you shelter and food and clothing and transportation, medical and education, and even help you find a job. They're also supposed to do something called family reunification. That way, if there's a hiccup in the family with the parents, they can take parenting classes or program classes on domestic violence or drugs or alcohol, cure it, and be back with the family, because studies have shown that the best parents to raise children are the biological parents. A child unites with his parents early on. If you notice that in animals, they do the same thing. If a young child's left with a parent, they're going to bond. And nothing breaks out the bond between the love of the parent and the child. But unfortunately, a lot of you encountered problems with CPS because not all CPS are honest or good. A lot of them are rogue. And the 1,500 people I've talked to all had bad CPS. And hello there, child. I wish I spoke Spanish, but that's nice that you put that in so other people that don't speak English can understand, I guess. Buenos noches, I think, means good evening, beloved Mr. Robert. God bless you and keep you always. Well, that's a very nice blessing. Malditos, I don't know what that means. Malditos monstrous. En estos monstruos el muerte por abuso nino innocence. I think you're talking about children being abused. I think that's what you're trying to say. Child, keep it all in simple English because that's the language we speak here. That'd be great. Now, child is from Los Angeles. He comes on to me twice a day. He's one of the family. And he has hired my attorney who created this, Vincent W. Davis, because he too has a CPS case and he's trying to get his children back. And he has several family members that will attend this live stream. And he uses child as one of those. Now, this live stream is interactive. That means you can interact with it. You can sit there and listen. You can choose to do emojis like hearts, or thumbs up, or smiley faces. You can even send me stars. Furthermore, please check below to follow me and write reviews. Also, you'll be notified when I'm going beyond. Check the notification button. Now, I'm on Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. On Saturdays and Sundays at 8 a.m. That's all Pacific Standard Time. And then I'm on the evening 7 days a week from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Again, that's on Standard Pacific Time. I'm broadcasting from the West Coast of California. And I'm here to help you with your questions and problems dealing with CPS. Now, we have a new person to come in. It's Crystal Goolsby. This is Pat Pippin. I remember Pat Pippin. I sent your producer to reschedule a video call, but I never heard anything back. Okay, what you need to do, if you want to reschedule your private Zoom conference with Mr. Davis, you need to write to Grace at vincentwdavis.com and tell her what you need to do. Tell her that you were set up and you want to reschedule your private Zoom conference with Mr. Davis. And she'll do that. Now, try that and see if that works. Doesn't, please get back to me, all right? Please get back to me. Okay, child says, I am the mommy. Okay, you're the mommy of the family. I've changed my channel names. Find the one I like the most. That's all. Okay, it's all right, child. It's just I prefer first names, but child will do. It's just that you could put mommy if you like, or mom. I could call you mom, or your first name. It doesn't hurt to put your first name. My name is Bob. Crystal Gooseby. Now, I did what? Crystal, I'm confused. Who is Crystal Gooseby? Do I know you? Oh, you're Patrick Pippin. Yes. Okay. And you did. I'm sorry. I'm confused by Crystal. I know it's Patrick Pippin. Okay. You did email. Um, um, well, let me do this. Let me go ahead and email Grace right now myself and see if we can resolve this. When was your Zoom conference set up? When was your Zoom private conference with Mr. Davis set up? I need to know the date and the time. Okay, child is called Gabriella. That's a pretty name, Gabriella. All right, I'll try to remember Gabriella as child and call you by Gabriella. So, Crystal, if you could tell me the date and time you had your private set up, then I can go ahead and get a hold of Grace. Now, one of the ways that you can interact with this podcast is to text me a comment. Now, the text a comment or a question, I need to adjust the screen there so you can see it, should pertain to CPS. Please state your first name, your city or country. City or county, then your state and your country. Also, please tell me about your CPS case from the beginning to where you're at. Now, when I mentioned country, I told you we have 22 countries that have texted and called. We've had Africa, country code 27, and we've had England, United Kingdom, country code 44. We've had Indonesia, Bangladesh, India. We've had the Middle East. We've had Saudi Arabia and Libya. Then over to Africa, we've had Liberia, Sudan, and we have the newest country, Republic of the Congo. Then we have Rwanda, and then Mozambique, and then South Africa, 2 provinces there. Then up to Europe, England, Scotland, and Wales, Denmark, and Sweden. Across the pond, North America, we've had 4 provinces in Canada. All 50 states have been represented, including the District of Columbia. Then south of the border, we've had Mexico, and then South America, north of Brazil. On the East Coast, we've had Grenada. Then over the South Pacific, we've had New Zealand, and then the land down under Australia, and both states. We've had 2 states there in Australia. So that's quite a group of people. They're part of the 1,500 people I've talked or texted to and so forth. And they all have a similar story. A lot of them have brilliant heartaches. And I have a lot of family members, 20 to 30 people coming here all the time. They call it family. They're here to help you and help me and help the show go good. Oh, is that Filipino time that got you confused? All right, and you wrote to her, but you don't know the date or the time. You say it's 2 weeks ago. I just need the date or the time. And I think you used the name Patrick Pippin. Is that the name you used? Crystal, Patrick Pippin, is that the name? Okay, Patrick Pippin, 2 weeks ago. So what would 2 weeks be go? From today? So 7 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Would it be April 3rd? Is that the date you had the Zoom meeting set up, April 3rd? Was April 3rd the time? And it was, what was the time in Filipino time? I do understand. Okay, Kelly from Chitttown. I don't know where Chitttown is. Is that the name of a place? Oh, okay, it was Eastern time, but was it April 3rd, Crystal? Gabriella, it's okay about not speaking English. That's okay. I do understand. Now, Kelly says Chitttown is Chicago. Okay. Well, I'm not a Chicagoan, so I probably did not know or ever hear that before, but now remember it. So we have Kelly from Chicago, Illinois. And what is your case, Kelly? Now, besides texting, you can also be a guest on my show. To be a guest, and I can take 9 of you, all you have to do is pick one of my 14 shows and email to grace@vincentwdavis.com. Grace@vincentwdavis.com. She's my show producer. And you tell her that you want to be on Bob's Friday night show or Saturday morning show or Wednesday night show or Tuesday morning show. She'll get you on. She'll send you a link to what's called StreamYard. It's the application I use. So you go to StreamYard.com. When you have her link, it'll take you right there. And if you get bounced off, that link's good again. And you could be, 9 of you could be talking at one time and so forth, and we could talk about issues. It's great to be a guest. I'd love to have you as a guest. So that's the second way. Either you can send me text messages or you can be a guest. Lastly, I have my phone number. My phone number is 626-698-0990. That's my office number. You can reach me. It's a web-based phone system called Vonage. You don't have to have Vonage, but we use a web-based phone system. The other number you see there in red banner and white lettering is the office of Vincent W. Davis, 888-888-6582. There you can find all kinds of information by calling in. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And you can ask about books or guides. We have the latest book out called The Grandparents Guide for Adopting or Getting Guardianship of Your Grandchildren, Step-by-Step Guide. It's $9.99. but I have a code you can use and get half off. It's capital P, capital A, capital C, capital E, PACE, the number 50. And I'll give you 50% on the grandparents guide. Now, parents can use that guide, so it's useful information. It can be used in any state. So you can find that. There's other guides there. You can also find the live stream broadcast that Vincent's on. He has one, I think, at 6:30 in the morning. Another one on Saturday. You know, he has office hours. I mean, he does give a lot of his free time. He's a great attorney, and you should think about retaining him. It was the 8 o'clock time in the morning, but it's Philly time, and our time is Eastern. Okay. And was it the 3rd? Crystal, was it the 3rd? It was the 4th. Okay, good. The 4th at 8 p.m. Filipino time. Well, let me see what I can do here to tell Grace. Well, she was here on my phone, but now, wow, where'd she go? There she is. Wow, she dropped down. So the 4th at 8 p.m., I'll try to get this all squared away. Okay, Crystal or Patrick Pepin, I've gone ahead and sent the message to Grace, and hopefully she'll respond to me, okay? Hopefully she'll respond to me. And well, hello, Betty Joe. Why is your face so red? Probably because I was running to get on time for my show. It was last weekend. I had a lot of sun, but it's interesting. Sunday evening, it was all complex. So from time to time, my face gets red. I can see it now. It was hot. It was cold outside and hot. And maybe from my running, I work up my circulation. But that's only temporary because normally my face is okay. But thank you for bringing it to my attention, Betty Joe. And for a lot of you listeners that don't know who Betty Joe is, she's a foster care mom from Montana, soft foster care mother. She has a niece that she's trying to get back with her brother's child, and unfortunately has not gone the way that they want to. So it's really hard for her. Now we have Kelly from Chicago, and we have Crystal, and your time is Easter time. I guess this week a lot of people are out in Easter. And child is Gabriella, and she has yummy meatballs and orange homemade popsicles. Well, gee, are you sharing that with us tonight, Gabriella? She's the one in child. And then Kelly says, I'll try for the Friday show. Please repeat your number again. Well, it's 626-698-0990. It's up on the screen. You should be able to see it. If you're in the YouTube room, you should see it where it says 626-698-0990. Or if you want to be a guest on my live stream, all you have to do is write an email to my show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and she'll put you on the show. You just pick it. So you're on Bob's Friday morning show or Bob's Friday night show, and she'll take it from there, send you an email with a link, and you're on, and you can talk. Or if you want to call in, you can. Now, I'm on it on Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, Betty, I'm also an avid surfer. So I'm out in the ocean, and the ocean is bright. And when I sit on a board, even as old as I am and a dinosaur I am, I do get a lot of sun. And maybe sometimes too much. But why it's red right now may be a lot to do with me getting to be on my show on time because I was out on errands. And so I want to be back on time and start the show on time. Hello, NYP. This is a very special lady called Alicia, and she's from California City, California. And her case involved her young child being born with 11 broken bones, and they did not know that her child had rickets. And so they've had to prove it through a doctor that they did not cause the broken bones, that the people that handled the child at birth caused the broken bones. Anyway, it's good to see you, NYP. And what is the latest? If any of you could fill me on what the latest is with your case, it would help me on that. It would help me on that. Now, I have lots of topics I can talk about. Lately, I've been talking about what's the latest in CPS. And there was a terrible, terrible story I read on the air 2 days ago. It was a naval veteran and his wife who had a child in suburbia, Virginia. And unfortunately, the CPS in Manassas County, I think it is, or Moulton County, I can't think of, or Houghton County, were there to pick up the child. It was an awful episode of police Gestapo tactics, of a social worker. I saw her ID. I saw how she was dressed. A typical looking social worker. They're overworked and, of course, underpaid, but they also deal with a lot of bad cases. Not all CPS is fun and games, but I know that some of the social workers take out their frustrations on you all, and it's wrong. CPS is a very terrible experience to go through. And it's not very pleasant. Also, the children that are abused is not very pleasant. There are children all the time that are abused and neglected. I can relate a case in Ohio where a mother left her child in one of those seats you sit and bouncing seats, and you have little activities in front of your table, and the child was something like 14 months or something. Well, the mother decided to go on vacation, left the child alone, locked up in the house with her sippy cup and her diapers, and that was it. The child, of course, died soon shortly after that of malnutrition, lack of water, lack of food, and went through a torture ending to die. That is neglect. That is a horrible case of neglect. The mother comes back, finds her child dead. She was gone for a week. The child had diapers full of maggots, infested sores. I mean, and the child was dead. And the child won't live for very long with that kind of thing. So that's why there are CPS workers and why CPS is rough. Now, that's a bad example, but it's a horrible example of what abusive parents can be. I'm not saying all the parents are. Yes, the mother's prosecuted, but that doesn't bring back the child. Or the Air Force man in Gainesville, Florida, that opens his front door and shot 5 times and killed while talking to his fiancée on FaceTime. He's dead. The fiancée is without a potential new husband. It was mistaken. The police were investigating domestic violence, but had the wrong apartment. I could go on and on about cases. There's my daughter, firsthand information that the social worker retaliated. She committed perjury under oath in court. She lied. And I had hired Mr. Davis, and he did his job. He flushed her out. What was happening was that my daughter was being adopted by my wife's sister and husband. We didn't want that to happen. My case was an awful, and I can go into it later, but a lot of you know about it. So my social worker, who didn't have a high school education, was asked by Mr. Davis, he's doing his job, what kind of parents is my wife's sister and husband? Are they good parents? And she proudly said, yeah, they're great parents. They'll be great for your daughter. My daughter was 12 at the time. Then Mr. Davis asked the next question with a puzzled look on his face. Has there ever been any domestic violence? And the social worker very proudly says, oh, no domestic violence. They're perfect parents. Well, then Mr. Davis went in his briefcase, pulled out a folder and opened it, and a stack of reports were opened up in the folder. So he read the first report, and they're all from the police department. And they all talk about domestic violence. In fact, it was so bad, there was physical domestic violence. So the social worker lied. That could have endangered our daughter to be adopted by the couple that may hurt the child if they had an argument. And the social worker retaliated. That's what's so bad about CPS. She left the courtroom embarrassed and angry, and she told my wife, you're never going to see your daughter again. You know what she did? She retaliated. She told our 12-year-old daughter, you're going to divorce your parents, emancipate. In California, the age for emancipation is 12. So she told her daughter, you need to divorce your parents. You need to change your name. And she changed her beautiful name. Her middle name was Honolulu, a beautiful place in Kauai. So she created a new name. Then she was told to seal her birth certificate. She no longer was born to us. Now, I found all this by mistake or something, or maybe God was trying to show me the way. But it's really sad when you raise a child and you work so hard for 12 years, bringing the child up, feeding the child, and taking care of the child. So she got a new birth certificate. She put her new adopted foster care parents on it. Even got a new Social Security card so she could double stick Social Security. Because at my age, I had children over the age of 65, and you're entitled to more benefits to help raise your children. It's your money. It's your retirement money. You just get more of your money back. So she was double dipping. She was getting with her Social Security card money, and then she was getting it. But it wasn't going to her. It was going to the adopted foster parents. They were raking in, and they already had an income of $500,000. So, what she was getting there, a couple $1,000 from Social Security, was gravy. So that was done. And then, of course, she got adopted by the foster care people. So that left me really sick to my stomach when that social worker retaliated. That's the kind of people, and a 12-year-old doesn't know about how to emancipate or how to change a name or seal your birth certificate. That was all coached by a social worker who didn't even have a high school education. And that all came from the Orange County Child Protection Services in Orange County, California. And I met that director, and I tried to tell things were wrong, but it made it worse for me. He retaliated and made things worse. He was so smuck that he lived in a Taj Mahal. He worked in a Taj Mahal place. His workers were in a regular, typical, low-income housing office building, but not the director. You could see where all the money was going. I mean, the federal government gives billions of dollars to the state. The state gives millions to the county. It's $1 trillion business for the rogue CPS systems out there, the child protection systems. And my daughter is still precious. She's 22 now. It's 10 years since it happened, but she hasn't expressed any interest in getting back to her family. So anyway, if you want to know about retaliation, that's my story. CPS is not kind to people. They'll trick you. They'll raise your hopes up. All of you in this room know what I'm talking about. They'll make you sign things because they say you'll never see your children. They coerce you into all kinds of things that are deeply wrong, deeply bad. And I want to hear about your stories, not hear about my woes or the woes of others. I mean, there's so many of you loving moms and loving dads in here. And I care about you all. I mean, we have a really good, I'm not trying to say all foster care people are bad, because Betty Jo is a loving mother. She took in a child of age 4 that was involved, that was at home when his parents on a Friday night were killed in an auto accident. So she took him in. He stayed with Betty Jo until one of the family members adopted him. Betty Jo's a good foster parent. She doesn't want to adopt kids. She does it because she cares. Now, I'm not saying all CPS workers and all CPS systems are corrupt, but there's a lot of them out there. My room is full of it today. All of you have experienced some trauma in your families, My life has not been the same. It's been torn apart. I had to quick sell my home to get the money to finance an attorney to protect me, which was Vincent W. Davis. I wanted the best. And he got back my boys. And he tried to stop my daughter, which she wasn't adopted, but she was convinced by the social worker that what the foster care people had to offer was better than what mom and dad did. The boys didn't feel that way. The boys came back. Now, I have a family of 6 children I've helped raise. 3 of them are the older ones, and they weren't affected by CPS. They have families, and they're doing good. So mom and dad are proud of that. I have 42 years of marriage experience, and I have a lot of life skills, over 60 years of life skills. And I'm on this show because I care about you, because I want to constantly tell you, do not give up. Keep fighting for your kids. Care about your kids and how they really care about you, but you need to get help. You need to have an attorney. I have 5 rules. You need to get an attorney who's schooled in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law, who's fought CPS and gotten kids back. You need to do documentation. Document everything. Record it. Pictures, whatever you do. And get a notebook. Get some subject tabs and divide all your court papers and your parenting class certificates and your program certificates and your health records for your children, and there all kinds of stuff. There's one important document I always forget to tell you, excuse me, is a timeline incident log where you list all the events you've had in a timeline fashion, whether they're with the police, the children, the school, the social workers. You make a list. And whether you are on the phone or something that happened in person, you put the location. You put the date and time and the people that were involved on the first line. The second line, you make a summary of what the incident was about. The third line, you should put the outcome of the incident. That's all you need is 3 lines for each incident. And as time goes on, you'll have a document time log of your problems. You'll need that to tell the court, to tell the attorneys. You need to record, document everything, take pictures. Now, I have rule number 3, which is you do not talk to social workers. You do not let them in your home. You do not give them your child. I made the mistake. My children weren't in danger, but I allowed them to take them out of school. Thank you, Phyllis Stein from Canada and Michelle Kramer Martin. And I want to thank for the emojis and stuff. So, yes, I have a big heart, but I want to help you guys. I'd like you all to tell me something you want. You can call in. I don't like to keep talking about my case or my rules or anything. I'm afraid to check the internet because every time I look, okay, good. I'm glad I'm helping you because I really care about you. I really do want to help. Now, I have a thing called Google News. It tells me, and I have it geared for CPS. Now, I think this is a new package that's passed in the U.S. House that reauthorizes and increased funding for child welfare programs, offering more flexibility to serve at-risk children, youth, and families. Concerns about potential cuts to the Medicaid funding also impact child welfare service, as do discussions about the effectiveness and fairness of child protection services. The Supporting American Children and Families Act, H.R. 9076, passed the U.S. House, was signed into law, strengthening counties' ability to support at-risk families. A proposed budget cut threatens health care for millions and raises concerns among the impact on children's welfare programs. Funding for children welfare workforce. The legislative provides new resources for child welfare workforce, recruitment and retention, addressing a critical need. Systematic issues and debates. Studies have shown a lack of clear correlation between CPS involvement and improved outcome for children and families. You got that hit nail in the head. There's no cooperative. Family preservation. There's a growing emphasis on preventing family separation due to poverty and providing family strength and supports. Well, they got to take care of that Bill Clinton incentive law and stop putting emphasis on foster care adoption and do family reunification. Concerns about bipartisan and child welfare response, particularly for families of color, are highlighted. Yes, there's a lot of emphasis goes hard on Black families and the Native American Indians, the first immigrants in the United States. The impact of social isolation and social media on youth mental health is a growing concern, with school social workers playing a vital role. Reforms and prevention. Efforts are underway to reform the child welfare system. I'm glad to hear that. Focusing on prevention, early intervention, and family-centered approaches. Child welfare agencies are using standardized reviews and data analysis to identify systematic challenges and improve child safety. Now, in Los Angeles County, California, they have Adoption Day. More than 200 children found forever homes in Los Angeles County annually Adoption Day. Immigrant children. There are reports of the Trump administration reviving the detention of immigrant families and concerns about the well-being of children and immigrant families. Foster care. There are reports of foster youth being uprooted due to wildfires and debates about the effectiveness of the different types of foster care, including kinship care, child abuse, and neglect. Several news reports highlight cases of child abuse and neglect, including incidents where authorities missed opportunity to save children. Now, there's a dark side to CPS. I know most of you are concerned about your children, but there are children that don't have loving family members like you all. The federal government's email newsletter, Child Welfare in the News, was shut down, creating a void in information. What are the key issues in child protection? Failure to provide adequate shelter, clothing, or food. Failure to protect a child from harm or danger. Failing to ensure that a child is supervised appropriately. Failing to access medical care or treatment for children when it's needed. Now, what states have the best child welfare system? It's difficult to name one best state for child welfare, as different factors are important. However, Massachusetts consistently ranks high in the studies that considers various aspects of child well-being, including access to health and mental health services as well, and the quality of public schools. Other states have also mentioned for strong child welfare systems, including Minnesota, New Hampshire, and Utah. Now, a large amount of children in Massachusetts have health insurance. Also, Massachusetts has good public schools for sight, but the problem is not all people can afford to live in Massachusetts. It's a very expensive state. And I know a lot of you have those concerns. Now, it seems like we have child, Gabriella, who's doing a lot of praying and talking here, but I haven't heard from the rest of you. I just want to do something more. I'd like to have someone call in and talk for a few minutes to hear their sides of things. Would anyone like to call in? I'd like anybody in here to call in. It'd be really nice to hear from someone besides myself. NYP, you have nothing to update me further on your case? And Betty Jo, is there anything new about your brother in Nebraska? And how about you, Crystal Goolsby? Is there anything new about your case? And again, Kelly Fisher, who I think is from Chicago, Illinois. Anything new about your case? Even Child, Gabriella, do you have anything new to share about your case? I don't mean to put you on the spot. If you don't feel like talking, I understand. I just want to make sure that I do what you guys want in the room. I want to help you all. Now, I left off with rule number 3, which also involves medical trafficking. There seems to be a lot of onset of medical social workers hanging out at urgent care or the emergency room in the hospital. And they jump on people with their children and accuse of neglect or abuse because they misread something or hear something. Heads up, they need a court warrant to take your child from you. But be leery and careful of going to the emergency room or urgent care in fear of social workers hiding there. You can flush them out. If you find they're a social worker, ask them to leave. They don't have to be in there with the doctor, and they're not part of the medical staff. Also, another part of medical trafficking is ladies that go and have their baby. Social workers and police have no right to be in a room delivering a baby or mother with a baby. That's wrong. So you got to be careful there too. So there's medical trafficking, children trafficking. It is kind of a whole mixture of a nightmare that needs to be straightened and fixed. It's a system that too much time is spent chasing the innocent people, the people that have lost their home through no fault of their own or low in income, and they should be chasing the real persons that are abusing children and stuff. And so it's kind of a mixture out there. It really is. Now we got a phone call. Great. Let's see who this is. Good evening and welcome to Bob Pace's live stream.
There seems to be a lot of onset of medical social workers hanging out at urgent care or the emergency
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Who am I speaking to?
Yeah, my name is Reginald.
Hey, glad to meet you, Reginald. And what part of the world are you from?
Sacramento, California.
What part of California?
Sacramento.
Oh, up north in the state capital. Okay, you're a good spot there.
Yes, it is. I was watching your live stream, and it said you left the number to call in. I
Right.
was actually wondering what this was all about. I seen an ad the other day about CPS and cases like that. I was just wondering what you do.
Well, what I'm doing, and I've been doing this for 18 months, is that I'm a loving father and a husband, and I too was sadly ruined by the Child Protection Services. I found out the hard way, and it cost me my home, any future job, and the loss of a child. They broke up my family. And all because I started off, I lost a job through no fault of my own, and I had a layperson, who were my in laws, make false claims because they wanted our children. And they were using CPS maliciously. And so I fought them. I got my children back. I hired an attorney. And my attorney says, Bob, you're a great talker. Why don't you tell people about your story and see if you can help them? And so what I've been doing twice a day, 14 times a week, is trying to help you all answer your questions or concerns if you're dealing with CPS.
Great. That's what I thought. I got a situation. If you got time to hear it.
Well, I do. This is towards the tail end. That no fret. I got about 3 minutes. I'll give you three minutes, and then you can also talk again tomorrow morning at 10 or tomorrow night at 7. I'm on twice a day, so people come here every day. I have people that have been with me for 18 months. So, what is your situation?
Well, I'm going to put my spouse on the phone, and her name is Amber.
Okay.
She's going to talk to you a little bit about what's going on.
So you are married, and how many children do you have, Amber?
We have 3 grandbabies we're raising.
Okay, you're raising 3. So did your son or daughter do something wrong with CPS?
My daughter, she didn't necessarily do something. Well, she got one of them taken for using drugs during pregnancy, but the other 2 I already had freely because she wasn't fit to be a mom.
Okay. And when she had drug during her pregnancy, did they remove that child right at the birth, or did they give her time to?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. No matter if a mother's doing drugs, that's wrong too. And the baby has to go through a lot of withdrawal. But go ahead, Amber.
She had time at the hospital with them, but she had to be supervised basically. But the issue is not with her; it's really with where we live at. Our grandchildren were taken from us for my husband was playing with our grandson who was 6 years old, and he took some duct tape and he duct taped his arms just playing with them together and his legs together. And where we live at, they called CPS and said that he was being malicious, which he was totally just playing with him. And they took him. I wasn't home, but they took him from both of us, made him leave the home, and then made me have supervised visits for 30 days. So during that time, we never got any paperwork. They just went and took my grandson from the school and then came and took the other 2 from me. And then from there, they arrested him and then released him with only a misdemeanor charge, but that's pending. And he has to go to court next week on it, actually. But I did get the children back in the home, but it took 30 days for me to get them back without supervision. And for him, it took almost 2 months for them to even allow him back in the home or to see them. Not one time did they give us any paperwork. Did they have us do anything besides get the kids? They took them and they gave them back.
Now, what was the purpose of the duct tape arrangement there with the child?
Well, the purpose of the duct tape was I was on the patio and I was working on a scooter at the time. So I had the duct tape out there. And what had happened is my grandson had went down the street and he cussed his godmother out. And I told him to come here, and he didn't want to come. So I says, well, you got to sit down and talk to me because you can't just be cussing your godmother out and you can't be sagging your pants, things like that. So I said, well, I'm going to tie you up right here. And I taped him up, like, not in a malice way. It's because he wasn't going to sit down and talk to me about what he just did. So that was my way of parenting. Like I say,
I understand that may have been the wrong choice because that's very restrictive to tie anybody up, and I understand that.
Sure, but it wasn't like he couldn't get away. It wasn't like I was taking the adult up, or I was doing the crime while I was chasing one out. It was nothing like that. The tape was loose on him. He could move. I was tickling him. We were playing, and I never left his side. You know what I mean? And they took him from me for that. And
they took him. That is called a form of abuse, and the mother is accused of neglect because she's not protecting the child. Well, by putting the duct tape on the child, that's called a form of abuse in the eyes of CPS.
Okay.
And then the mother is accused of neglect because she isn't protecting the child.
She wasn't even here at the time.
Well, they think that.
So I understand.
I mean, that's what CPS does. I'm not trying to say it's right or wrong,
Sure,
but simple. That could be a simple thing that could be corrected. If CPS was legit, they could say, all right, you need to take a parenting class about how to discipline your children. And it's a 1 month class, and they should still have visits and stuff like that. Did they ever interview the child?
Yes.
And what did he tell them? Did he feel that he was afraid or scared?
He didn't act scared or anything about that. What happened was he's autistic. He's high functioning autistic, and he's ADHD.
Special needs child. They love special needs child because they get more money. It's a money thing to CPS. That's why you went through all that. Now, those criminal charges that are pressed against you, you said they're at the misdemeanor level. Have they been resolved yet?
No, I actually go to court on the 19th.
Make sure you do not agree to anything. Make sure you have a trial by jury.
Okay, so here's what happened.
Go ahead.
From what I understand, I still go to court on this, but CPS dropped the case. But my problem, my problem with this is that they took the babies away from us. You know, my wife had a stroke. You know what I mean? They put us through so many changes. It just doesn't make any sense for them to be able to get away with what they did. They didn't investigate anybody. Where I live at, there's actually a camera that points right towards my unit. So they have tape of it. You know, they know that everybody around here knows me, and they know, you know, as long as I've been here, they see me interact with my grandchildren and things like that. I just feel like this is a bum deal, and it's a damn shame that, excuse my language, but it's a shame that they're able to get away with some of the things that they're doing. It's like their parenting is not any better than ours. It's nothing because of the manual. You know, I have they never investigated. They never did any type of investigation for worth anything. You know, they just said, hey, this is what we have, and this is what we're doing. They came out, they arrested me, and then they released me. They released me 3 days later. No, they didn't come for 3 days. The police didn't come for 3 days. And they came and arrested me, and they released me. But they took the kids.
Now, when you got to case dismissed, right?
If you don't release me, you take me to jail.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We deal with it from that end. Don't come playing with me, taking my grandchildren and releasing me.
Well, it's two separate agencies doing two separate things. The police are pressing criminal charges, and they think the district attorney thinks he's got a strong case. That'll be determined when you have your court trial. And don't try to compromise or make deals with them, because any deal you make is going to be bad.
I agree.
And if you're innocent, just get yourself a good attorney and prove your innocence. Now, you'll need a criminal attorney for that matter. Now, for CPS, you need a juvenile law, family law, dependency lawyer. But for the criminal matter, that's the criminal attorney you need.
Because they dropped it to a misdemeanor, but they say it's pending.
Well, they haven't dropped it. They're trying to drag it on so they get money out of the system. They're going to try to make a deal with you And the main thing is you want to have your peers decide whether you're guilty or not.
Okay.
Your peers will hear the testimony and the evidence, and they'll make the determination. Too many people make wheels and deals and ends up messing up their life forever.
Right.
I know where you're coming from because I made a deal that I regret that I ever should make a deal. I should have gone to trial and had a jury trial, but I wanted to keep my family from not going into court, and I wanted the charges against my wife dropped. So I did a wheel deal after a year because the CPS case was on hold because of the criminal charges. That is the trick. They want to milk as much money out of the system. They work on trillions of dollars of making. And CPS is corrupt. And unless you get a real good... Go ahead.
They did more damage to my grandchildren than I did.
I know they do. They do that. They you don't have to, I believe you. But my time is such that I do need to have to end, but that doesn't mean it stops here. Since you found me, come tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. or come tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That's Pacific Standard Time, which is your time. And you can talk further. You can talk further about your case. Now, since you did talk on my show, and I tell everybody that does talk on my show, either calling in or a guest, you're entitled to free 15 minutes with a real live attorney. And you can make a list of questions and have a video conference with this attorney at no cost. His name is Mr. Vincent W. Davis. He's one of the top CPS attorneys in the country. And his retainer down in LA County is $5,000. He's a $500 an hour attorney, but he'll talk to you for 15 minutes. And you make a list of questions, prioritize your questions, and talk to him. All you have to do is see my number, 626-698-0990. Text me your full name, your email, and your phone number. Your full name, your email, and your phone number, and I'll set up with my show producer a 15-minute private consultation with Mr. Davis.
Appreciate that.
So the ball's in your court. You just text me that at the number 626-698-0990, and I will contact my show producer, and she'll set that up, and she'll contact you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, her name is Grace, and she works as my show producer. So with that being said, I want you best of luck. I know this is quick and short, but call in again. I'd love to hear from you. And for the rest of you out there, thank you so much for you guys calling in from Sacramento. And thank you, Child. Thank you, Child, for your comments from Los Angeles. Thank you, NYP from California City, California. I want to thank Betty Joe from Montana. Thank you, Crystal Goosebay, who had speaking before. Kelly Fisher from Chicago, Illinois. I want to thank, let me see if anybody else I left off here. No, I think I got everybody. Again, keep fighting for your children. Don't give up. They're precious to you. And God bless you all. And this is Bob Pace signing off.